Tom Reed was having a terrible day even before the alien abduction. His car had broken down on a deserted stretch of highway in rural Montana. No cell signal, no passing cars, just endless fields and a gray sky threatening rain. When the shimmering light appeared overhead, Tom initially felt relief. Help had arrived, or so he thought. The beam of energy that enveloped him felt like being dunked in ice water and then set on fire simultaneously. His atoms scattered, reassembled, and scattered. Again. When Tom's consciousness returned, he found himself in a sterile white room with no doors or windows. "There has been a mistake," said a monotone voice from hidden speakers, "but mistakes cannot be corrected in the void. Processing will continue." Tom pounded on the seamless walls. "What mistake? Where am I? I'm just a mechanic from Billings." Section of wall dissolved, revealing a corridor. Standing there was a creature that resembled a cross between a mantis and a lion, easily 8 feet tall. Its exoskeleton gleamed like polished obsidian. "I am Warden Krax," it clicked in perfect English. "You have been sentenced to the Void Prison for crimes against sentient life. The Galactic Council has determined you are too dangerous to remain. Free." "This is insane," Tom shouted. "I've never even left Earth." The mantis lion's compound eyes shimmered. "Your identification scan shows you are Specimen 7731, responsible for the destruction of the Centauri outpost and the deaths of 300 colonists." Tom's legs nearly gave out. "I'm just a human. My name is Tom Reed." Krax paused, mandibles twitching. "Species. Human. Impossible. Humans are a pre-spaceflight species under observation. They are not capable of interstellar travel or destruction." "Exactly," Tom exclaimed. "Yet our identification is never wrong," Krax continued. "You will proceed to general population while we investigate this anomaly." 2 robotic guards materialized beside Tom. They escorted him through a maze of corridors that seemed to bend in impossible ways. Eventually, they reached a vast central area where hundreds of alien creatures mingled in what appeared to be a prison yard, if prison yards had variable gravity zones and creatures from nightmares. "New meat," growled a bulbous creature with dozens of tentacles. "What's your kill count, tiny one?" Before Tom could respond, another prisoner, a blue-skinned humanoid with 4 arms, stepped between them. "Back off, Gorks," the blue alien said. "Can't you see this one's confused? Probably a first-timer." The tentacled monster slithered away, muttering threats. "I'm Nex," said the blue alien. "What catastrophe did you cause to end up here?" "None," Tom insisted. "I'm human. From Earth. There's been a mistake." Nex's eyes widened. All 3 of them. "Human? That's unexpected. The Void doesn't make mistakes in identification. If you're here, you're dangerous." "But I'm not." "Perhaps not intentionally," Nex replied thoughtfully. "But something about you triggered the Galactic Council's security protocols." A piercing alarm suddenly blared through the facility. Red lights pulsed along the walls. "Attention all prisoners," announced Warden Krax's voice. "Return to your cells immediately. Security breach in progress." Nex grabbed Tom's arm. "Come with me if you want to survive your first day. Something's wrong. And in the Void, wrong usually means deadly." As they rushed toward the cell blocks, Tom noticed other inmates watching him with new interest. Some with fear, others with malicious curiosity. Whatever mistake had brought him here had also marked him as something unusual. And in a prison for the galaxy's deadliest beings, being unusual was the most dangerous thing of all. Tom's cell was a 10 by 10 cube that shifted its interior to match his biology. When the lockdown ended 6 hours later, he emerged to find himself a celebrity of sorts. "Is it true? You're from Earth?" asked a reptilian creature with crystalline scales. "The uncharted planet?" hissed another inmate with no visible eyes. Tom nodded cautiously. "Yes, and I don't belong here." "None of us believe we belong here," rumbled a massive entity made of what appeared to be living stone. "I'm Rex. Destroyed 3 star systems. Accident? Of course." "I'm not like you," Tom insisted. "I've never left my planet before." Rex laughed, a sound like boulders grinding together. "Yet the Void identified you as someone who has." "Interesting." Nex approached with food, a gray nutrient paste, that adjusted to each species' dietary needs. "The guards are talking. Your case has the warden concerned." Tom forced down the tasteless paste. Have they figured out they need to send me home? Not exactly, Nex replied. They've confirmed you're human, but the identification scan still marks you as specimen 7731. The system is never wrong. But I've never… They're bringing in a memory extractor, Nex interrupted. It will pull every experience from your mind to find the truth. Rex's rocky face cracked in what might have been a grimace. Bad news, Earthling. Memory extraction is fatal for most species. Their brains can't handle the strain. Tom felt his heart pounding. There has to be another way. Perhaps, said a new voice, soft and melodic. A wisp-like creature floated toward them, its translucent body pulsing, with gentle light. I am Lumi. I destroyed a moon by accident when my light form destabilized. How does that help me? Tom asked desperately. The Void's identification system uses quantum signatures, not just biological markers, Lumi explained. If your quantum signature matches specimen 7731, there are only two possibilities. Either you are 7731 or what? Tom demanded. Or you're connected to 7731 across realities, Lumi finished. Quantum entanglement on a conscious level. Nex whistled softly. A parallel version of you. Tom's mind reeled. You're saying in some other reality, I'm a mass murderer? The barriers between realities have been thinning, Rex rumbled. It's why I'm here. My destructive capabilities leaked through from another dimension. The memory extractor won't help you, Lumi continued. It will only confirm you have no memory of crimes you, or your alternate, committed. Nex lowered his voice. There's another option. The Void has a central processing core. If we could reach it, we might be able to locate the quantum signature, overlap and prove you're not the 7731 they want. That's insane, Rex growled. The core is beneath the Warden's quarters, through security that would vaporize most life forms. Most, Nex agreed. But perhaps not all of us working together. Tom looked around at these deadly beings, the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy, who were now talking about helping him. Why would you risk yourselves for me? He asked. Lumi's light pulsed brighter. Because if the system can make a mistake about you, it could have made mistakes about us. And, Nex added with a mischievous grin, no one has ever escaped the Void. The challenge is irresistible. A plan began to form. A desperate, probably suicidal plan. Tom had no choice but to trust these cosmic killers. His life depended on it. We move tonight, Rex decided, during the third shift change when the guard rotation is thinnest. As Tom nodded in agreement, an announcement echoed through the prison. Prisoner Tom Reed, report to Medical Bay for examination. The aliens exchanged glances. The memory extractor, Lumi whispered. They're not waiting. Change of plans, Nex said grimly. We move now. The distraction began in the mess hall. Rex, living up to his reputation, unleashed a seismic wave that cracked the reinforced floor. Alarms blared as guards rushed to contain him. This way, Nex whispered, pulling Tom through a maintenance shaft that Lumi had melted open with a focused beam of energy. How do you know where to go? Tom asked as they crawled through the narrow space. I've been mapping this place for 3 cycles, Nex replied. Memorizing guard rotations, studying structural weaknesses. I was planning my own escape when you arrived. They emerged into a corridor bathed in red emergency lighting. 2 more inmates, a gaseous entity called Mist, and a multi-limbed engineer named Tak, were waiting. Rex bought us 10 minutes at most, Tak chittered, his 8 hands working simultaneously to disable a security panel. The central core is 6 levels down. What about Lumi? Tom asked. Creating more distractions, Mist hissed, his form swirling anxiously. She won't be joining us. The revelation hit Tom hard. Sacrifices were already being made on his behalf. They descended through the prison's levels using maintenance shafts and emergency stairwells. Each transition required Tak's expertise to bypass security or Mist's ability to slip through ventilation systems and deactivate sensors from the other side. Why is the Void built like this? Tom wondered aloud. All these maintenance tunnels seem like security risks. Even the deadliest prison needs maintenance, Nex explained. The designers never expected the inmates to cooperate. We're supposed to be too dangerous, too selfish to work together. What changed? You did, Nex said simply. A human who doesn't belong has made us question everything. They reached a massive door marked with alien symbols. Beyond it lay the central processing core, and potentially Tom's only chance at freedom. This is where it gets complicated, Tack warned, examining the door's locking mechanism. 27 separate security protocols, quantum encrypted. Can you break it? Tom asked. No, Tack admitted. But we don't need to break in. We need the warden to let us in. Nex revealed the next phase of their plan. Mist will trigger a false atmospheric breach alarm in the warden's quarters. Protocol requires cracks to verify core functions personally during such emergencies. When the warden opens the door, Tack continued, we slip in. And if things go wrong? Tom asked. Then we're all dead, Nex said cheerfully. But we were dead anyway, weren't we? The plan worked perfectly, until it didn't. The false alarm triggered, the warden approached with an escort of guards, and the massive door began to open. But as they prepared to infiltrate the room, a familiar voice spoke behind them. I'm disappointed, Nex. I expected better from you. They turned to find Warden Cracks, mandibles clicking in irritation. But you're... Tom looked back at the warden approaching the door, then at the one behind them. A security hologram, Cracks explained. Did you really think we wouldn't have countermeasures for such obvious tactics? Guards materialized around them, weapons ready. Take them to solitary, Cracks ordered. Except the human. Prepare him for immediate memory extraction. As the guards moved to separate them, mist suddenly expanded, filling the corridor with opaque vapor. Tom felt Nex grab his arm. Run, the alien hissed. The door's open. Blinded by Mist's defensive cloud, Tom stumbled forward, guided by Nex's firm grip. They burst through the doorway into the core chamber just as emergency containment fields activated, sealing Mist, Tack, and the guards outside. Inside the chamber, banks of quantum computers hummed with the collective data of the galaxy's worst criminals, and they were now alone with it. The central core of the void glowed with ethereal blue light, suspended in a gravitational containment field. It resembled a miniature galaxy, swirling with data points representing every prisoner. Quickly, Nex urged, approaching a control terminal. We don't have much time before they override the containment field. Tom watched as Nex's 4 hands flew across the alien interface. What exactly are we looking for? Your quantum signature, Nex explained, and its connection to specimen 7731. On the display, thousands of prisoner profiles flashed past, beings responsible for planetary genocides, stellar collapses, and crimes Tom couldn't even comprehend. The scale of destructive capability contained within the void was staggering. There you are, Nex murmured, isolating Tom's profile. Quantum signature HS397 Delta. Beside it appeared another profile, visually identical to Tom, but labeled specimen 7731. The resemblance was uncanny, down to the small scar on Tom's left eyebrow from a childhood accident. That's me, Tom whispered. Not quite, Nex corrected. Your quantum twin. Same genetic template, different reality trajectory. The data showed that specimen 7731 had been raised on Earth until age 12, when a Centauri scout ship discovered him. Recognized for unusual psychic abilities, he was taken for training. Years later, he destroyed the Centauri outpost in a psychic outburst of unprecedented power. The system flagged you because your quantum signatures are 99.97% identical, Nex explained. When 7731 escaped custody 3 cycles ago, the recovery drones were programmed to track his signature. They found you instead. So I'm here because my evil twin is on the loose? Tom asked incredulously. Precisely. And... Nex stopped suddenly, eyes widening. This is unexpected. What? According to this data, the thin spots between realities are not random. They're being deliberately weakened. Tom leaned closer. By whom? By 7731 himself. He's trying to collapse the walls between dimensions. Nex looked grim. If he succeeds, the destruction would be beyond calculation. A new alarm sounded, different from the previous ones. This was a deep, resonating tone that seemed to vibrate through the very structure of the prison. "Reality breach alert," announced an automated voice. "Dimensional integrity compromised. Emergency protocols activated." The central core began pulsing erratically. "He's here," Nex whispered. "Your quantum twin is attempting to breach into this reality. Through you." Tom felt a strange pulling sensation, as if something was tugging at his very atoms. "What's happening to me?" "You're the anchor point," Nex explained hurriedly. "The connection between realities. He needs you to complete the breach." The doors to the chamber burst open as Warden Krax entered with a squad of heavily armed guards. But instead of attacking, they froze at the sight of Tom. Tom was glowing with the same blue energy as the core, his outline blurring as if he existed in multiple states simultaneously. "Quantum collapse imminent," Krax announced. "This facility will self-destruct in 5 minutes. All personnel evacuate immediately." "You're going to destroy the whole prison?" Nex demanded. "The void contains beings that cannot be allowed to escape," Krax replied coldly. "The needs of the galaxy outweigh the lives of its worst criminals." As the guards retreated, Nex turned to Tom. "There might be a way to stop this, but it's theoretical at best." Tom, struggling against the pulling sensation, nodded. "Tell me." "If you can redirect the quantum connection, use it to pull 7731 here instead of him pulling you there, we might be able to capture him and end this." "How?" "Focus on who you are," Nex said urgently. "Your memories, your identity. They're the only things truly different between you. Make them an anchor." As the countdown continued and the prison began to shake with pre-destruction sequences, Tom closed his eyes and concentrated on everything that made him Tom Reed. His childhood in Montana, his parents, his job as a mechanic, the small pleasures and disappointments of his ordinary human life. The pulling sensation intensified unbearably, then suddenly reversed. A thunderclap of energy sent everyone in the core chamber flying backward. Where Tom had stood moments before, there were now 2 figures. Tom Reed and his identical twin, Specimen 7731. But while Tom looked confused and afraid, 7731's eyes blazed with cold fury and terrifying power. "You!" 7731 snarled, his voice eerily similar to Tom's but distorted by rage. "The anomaly that's been interfering with my work." Tom staggered to his feet. "Your work? You mean destroying reality?" 731 laughed. "Reshaping it. The Centauri taught me how to access my abilities but tried to control them. To control me. No one will control what I can do." Warden Krax had regained his footing, mandibles clicking in alarm. "Containment field at maximum," he ordered into a communicator. A shimmering energy barrier formed around 7731. For a moment it seemed to hold. Then 7731 smiled. With a casual gesture, the barrier shattered. "Your technology is impressive," he admitted, "but ultimately futile against what I've become." Nex pulled Tom behind a computer bank as 7731 sent a wave of energy through the room, knocking guards aside like toys. The self-destruct countdown continued in the background. 3 minutes remaining. "He's stronger than expected," Nex whispered. "But there's something you should know. The quantum link between you is still active. What affects one of you affects the other." Tom peered around the edge of their shelter at his twin, who was systematically destroying the core's defenses. "What are you suggesting?" "If he dies, you might die too," Nex said gravely. "But there's another possibility. The core contains technology that can rewrite quantum signatures. It's how the void ensures prisoners can't escape through dimensional tricks." "You want to change who I am at a quantum level?" "Not exactly. I want to merge your signatures." Nex's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "Theoretically, it could reunite your fragmented existence across realities." "Merge with that psychopath?" Tom looked horrified. "Not a complete merge," Nex clarified, "but enough to stabilize the breach he's created and neutralize his powers. You would remain you, but with the potential he unlocked. The choice would be yours, how to use it." A deafening crash interrupted them as 7731 reached the central core itself, plunging his hands into the swirling galaxy of data. "With this, I can tear open every reality at once," he proclaimed. "Remake everything in my image." 2 minutes to self-destruct, announced the automated system. Tom looked at Nex, then at Warden Krax, who was attempting to rally the remaining. guards for a final assault that would surely fail. Do it, Tom decided. How do we merge the signatures? Nex led Tom to an auxiliary terminal. We need to get you into the core at the same time as him. Physical contact with the data stream while I execute the rewrite protocol. As Nex worked, Tom watched his twin absorbing power from the core. The resemblance between them was uncanny, yet 77731 seemed fundamentally warped, as if the same basic template had been twisted by trauma and power. Ready, Nex announced. You'll need to touch the core. I'll initiate the sequence when both of you are connected. And if this doesn't work, then the self-destruct will ensure the problem is contained, Nex said grimly. Along with all of us. Tom nodded. Taking a deep breath, he sprinted toward the core where 7731 stood with his back turned. Hey, Tom shouted. Remember Montana? Remember Dad's old truck? The one we used to pretend was a spaceship? And 31 turned, momentarily confused by these shared memories. Those weaknesses are behind me? Are they? Or are they what make us human? Tom lunged forward, grabbing 7731's arm with one hand, while thrusting his other into the swirling data core. Now, Nex! Tom screamed as energy coursed through both of them. Nex activated the sequence. The core pulsed blindingly bright as the quantum signatures of Tom and specimen 7731 began to realign and merge. 1 minute to self-destruct, the system announced dispassionately. Pain unlike anything Tom had ever experienced tore through his body. It felt like being unmade and remade simultaneously, his very atoms splitting and recombining. Beside him, 7731 was screaming, a sound that mirrored Tom's own agony. Through the blinding light, Tom glimpsed fragments of another life, a childhood twisted by alien experimentation, abilities that no human was meant to possess, and the crushing isolation of being unique in the universe. He felt 7731's rage, his fear, and beneath it all, a loneliness that had driven him to madness. System overload, warned the automated voice. Quantum fusion exceeding safety parameters. Nex was frantically working to stabilize the process, while Warden Krax ordered the last remaining guards to evacuate. You can't do this, 7731 gasped, struggling against the merger. I won't be caged again, not in the void, not in your mediocre existence. It's not a cage, Tom managed through clenched teeth. It's a reconnection. We were never supposed to be separate. The core began to contract, pulling both versions of Tom toward its center. The countdown continued, 30 seconds to self-destruct. In a desperate move, 7731 channeled his psychic energy outward, trying to break free of the merger. The backlash sent waves of destructive force throughout the chamber. Equipment exploded. Walls cracked, and Nex was thrown across the room. You'll kill us both, Tom shouted. Better death than surrender, 7731 snarled. Through their connected consciousness, Tom suddenly understood. 7731 feared being ordinary more than he feared death. The Centauri had nurtured that fear, teaching him that power was the only protection against vulnerability. Being human isn't weakness, Tom insisted, gripping his twin tighter despite the pain. It's our strength. With a tremendous effort, Tom pushed his own memories forward through their connection. Not just the happy ones, but all of them. The disappointments and failures, the small triumphs and quiet moments of connection. The fullness of an ordinary, human life, with all its limitations and possibilities. Self-destruct in 10 seconds. Warden Krax was the last one remaining besides Tom, 7731, and the injured Nex. The process won't complete in time, he clicked urgently. We must evacuate. 9, 8, go! Tom shouted. Get Nex out of here. The warden hesitated, then efficiently collected Nex's unconscious form and headed for the exit. 7, 6. I won't let you win, 7731 hissed, but his resistance was weakening as the shared memories continued to flow between them. 5, 4. It's not about winning, Tom said. It's about becoming whole again. 3, 2. As the final moment approached, Tom and 7731 were drawn completely into the core, their separate forms dissolving into the swirling data. In that infinite instant between existence and oblivion, something new emerged. Neither fully Tom nor fully 7731, but a synthesis of both. 1. The newly merged being reached out with abilities far beyond human limitation and touched the fabric of reality itself, bending it to his will. Self-destruct cancelled, announced the system. Quantum stability restored. The light of the core gradually faded, leaving a single figure standing where two had been before. He looked like Tom Reed, but his eyes held depths of knowledge and power that the mechanic from Montana had never possessed. When he spoke, his voice was Tom's, but with a resonance that seemed to echo across dimensions. "I remember everything," he said quietly. "Both lives, both paths." The void slowly stabilized around him, emergency systems powering down as the immediate threat passed. In the distance, evacuation alarms still blared. The merged Tom looked down at his hands, ordinary human hands that now held extraordinary potential. What happens now? He asked himself. And for the first time in either of his existences, he was genuinely curious to discover the answer. 3 months later, Tom Reed, as he still chose to call himself, stood on the observation deck of the Galactic Council's headquarters, gazing out at the spectacular view of 3 intersecting spiral galaxies. Beside him stood Nex, recently pardoned for his role in saving reality itself. "Still adjusting?" Nex asked, noting Tom's contemplative expression. "Every day," Tom admitted. "Having 2 sets of memories, 2 sets of emotions, it's complicated." After the merger and the averted destruction of the Void, Tom had been brought before the Council for evaluation. What they found astonished even the oldest and wisest members, a human with unprecedented psychic abilities who had somehow achieved perfect balance between power and restraint. "The observers have reported that the reality breaches are fully healed," Nex mentioned. "Your work has been impressive," Tom nodded. After convincing the Council that he posed no threat, he had dedicated himself to repairing the damage 7731 had caused across multiple dimensions. The task required both his human intuition and the extraordinary capabilities he had inherited from his quantum twin. "I keep thinking about the others in the Void," Tom said. "Rex, Lumi, Tak, Mist, they risked everything to help me. And thanks to your advocacy, their cases are being reviewed," Nex reminded him. Warden Krax's testimony about their actions was particularly helpful. The doors to the observation deck slid open, and Warden Krax entered. The imposing mantis lion had developed an unlikely respect for Tom since the incident. "The Council is ready to hear your proposal," Krax announced. Tom took a deep breath. Today he would present his most ambitious idea yet, a reformation of the Void Prison itself. Rather than merely containing the galaxy's most dangerous beings, Tom had envisioned a facility that could help them harness their destructive capabilities for constructive purposes. "Most of them aren't evil," Tom had argued in preliminary hearings. "They're isolated, misunderstood, or simply unable to control powers they never asked for. I understand that better than anyone now." As they walked toward the Council chambers, Tom reflected on the extraordinary journey that had brought him here. From an ordinary mechanic to a prisoner in the galaxy's most secure facility, to something unprecedented in cosmic history. A human who had glimpsed the full spectrum of possibility and chosen a middle path. "Are you nervous?" Nex asked. "A little," Tom admitted. "What I'm proposing goes against millennia of Council policy. Yet you've earned the right to be heard," Krax noted. "Few beings have saved reality itself." The massive doors to the Council chamber opened, revealing the assembled representatives of 5,000 civilizations. Tom recognized the gravity of the moment. A human from a pre-spaceflight world addressing the most powerful governing body in the known universe. As he stepped forward, Tom felt both parts of himself working in harmony. The humble mechanic from Montana, providing the compassion and perspective that the psychically gifted specimen 7731 had lacked. Together, they created something neither could have been alone. "Distinguished Council members," Tom began, his voice steady. "I stand before you as living proof that even the most dangerous capabilities can be tempered by humanity's greatest strength, our capacity for connection." The chamber fell silent as he continued. "The beings imprisoned in the Void are seen as threats to be contained. I propose we view them instead as resources to be understood. many like myself never chose. Their powers, they need guidance, not eternal imprisonment. Tom outlined his vision for a new kind of facility. One that would rehabilitate, rather than merely incarcerate, that would study extraordinary abilities rather than suppress them, and that would give second chances to those who had only ever known isolation. When he finished speaking, the council chamber remained silent for several long moments. Then, one by one, representatives began to signal their interest in the proposal. "It will not be easy," warned the council elder. "Many of these beings have caused tremendous suffering." "I know," Tom acknowledged. "Part of me remembers causing that suffering. But I also remember being human. And humans believe in redemption." As the council moved to formal deliberations, Tom stepped outside with necks and cracks. Whatever the outcome, he had spoken his truth. A truth that bridged worlds and realities. "What will you do if they approve your plan?" Nex asked. Tom smiled, a simple human expression that somehow contained the wisdom of cosmic awareness. "I'll go back to the void," he said. "But this time, not as a prisoner." He looked out at the stars, the same stars he had gazed at from his backyard in Montana, never imagining the journey that awaited him. "After all," Tom added, "who better to run a rehabilitation center for the galaxy's most dangerous beings than someone who's been on both sides?" In that moment, Tom Reed, accidental inmate, quantum anomaly, and now perhaps the most unique being in the galaxy, felt truly at peace. With his extraordinary fate, humanity had found its place among the stars, not through conquest or technology, but through the simple, powerful ability to see potential where others saw only threat. And that, Tom knew, was the greatest power of all. The end.